Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Moore. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, another show where we're talking about a big addition for the Ohio State Buckeyes for 2026. And this is a return, a returner, not a kick returner, a punt returner, but a returning player who I think in general, people are not going to be super, people feel like they would be more excited if this was a Jordan Seaton is signing with Ohio State show. But if you go back and listen to the Jordan Seaton show, you'll hear Tony and I talking about why Austin Siereveld coming back is actually potentially a much bigger and better piece of news for the Buckeyes than adding a, sort of a splashy addition through the portal.
Yeah, instead of adding a second team All Big 12 left tackle, Ohio State has kept a second team All Big 10 left tackle and the anchor of your offensive line, and somebody who isn't just a left tackle but can play anywhere on the offensive line. So that adds some versatility. As we've seen over the years, the more you can do, anything can happen over the course of a season. And if you got versatile offensive linemen, then you might end up using them. So this is big news for Ohio State to get him back. I know he views himself as a guard at the next level, and so this was a decision to keep playing left tackle, or just go on and make that move to the NFL, where you're probably going to move inside some, and this allows him to continue showing what he can do. And that doesn't say he's not going to move inside at Ohio State, but like I said, it's versatility. And if you're looking for your best five, he's obviously one of them. And if he's at left guard or left tackle, he's done it before. Julian Sayin is comfortable with him there. There's no downside to having him back. And when we've done all of these videos, and there's always some mention of the offensive line, this is a good thing. This is a good guy to have back. And I'm expecting some, I don't know, negative comments, just comments about, well, still need more. And it's like, well, we've done videos on talking about how they've got enough. As long as everybody comes back, they've got enough. And this was the first start of that. This was the key to that, as you secure your left tackle. And then if you've got somebody better than him on the roster at that spot, that's also really, really good news.
Right. It feels like the things I can say in order of certainty is Ohio State's best five for 2026 involves Austin Siereveld. I can say that with 100% certainty based on what we've seen so far. And that's true whether they bring in, and, if Jordan Seaton magically shows up in the portal tomorrow, shows up at Ohio State via the portal tomorrow, your best five still involves Austin Siereveld in some form. But, with the existing line as we see it and as we know it to be right now, yeah, he's going to be somewhere in there. Now, we know he can play left tackle. That's the hardest spot on the line to find someone to play. So, at least that he can play there, and you can fill in the other four spots with him there. Now, is it possible that the best line for 2026 involves someone like Ian Moore at left tackle? Sure, it's possible. This is the stuff they're going to figure out during spring. But here's the great thing about Austin Siereveld. If Ian Moore ends up being the starting left tackle, great news. Austin Siereveld can be your starting right tackle. He can do that too. That's not a problem at all. That was, I think, what we were sort of expecting from him potentially for a lot of last spring and summer. We thought, maybe Austin Sierveld's going to be the starting right tackle. And then he showed he could play the left tackle spot, and great, fantastic. He can certainly move over to right tackle. And if he moves over to right tackle, well, you have your starting right tackle from last year, Philip Daniels, still on the roster. Guess what? He can potentially kick inside because he might also be someone who is a guard at the next level. So, and then if you want to keep Daniels at right tackle, great. Kick Siereveld inside to right guard. Move him to left guard and move like Luke Montgomery to right guard, whatever. I mean, there's a million different permutations of this 2026 Ohio State offensive line, all of which I think are going to be pretty good, because that was a relatively young and inexperienced offensive line last year. All those guys are coming back except for Tager Shabola. And you have a ton of different options, a ton of different potential lineups you can go with. And now it's just a matter of finding out which is the best one. But getting Siereveld back, I think, was a crucial piece to giving you some of those different, really good potential options.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned all of the variations with him. Imagine the variations without him, because now you're talking, it is Ian Moore at left tackle, it is Philip Daniels at right tackle, and then it's either Josh Padilla or Gabe Van Sickle at right guard. And the depth piece of this whole thing and the versatility piece of this whole thing is now a question mark. And you're hoping some young guys step up or some veterans can like stay healthy, basically. I think it was the 2014 season where they started the same offensive linemen the entire season. It's like everybody made all 5 offensive linemen made all 14 starts or whatever. It's like you can't expect that to be the norm. That's not really what happens. And so you've got to be able to prepare for anything. And without Austin Siereveld, it's going to be much harder to do that. So with him coming back, you're more talented, you're more versatile, you're more experienced, you're more comfortable. We talk about the line gelling. Yeah, they have gelled, and if you can bring them back, all the better. And then he also can help set the tone for the young guys coming up on this offensive line. They like this offensive line, the young guys. And I know development is a bad word now with the transfer portal era. I still think on the offensive line, it's still going to have to be part of that. And having some Ohio kids that might be willing to stick around for a year or an extra year and kind of wait their turn but progress towards their turn, I think is good. But just imagine if he didn't come back. Just imagine if Austin Siereveld didn't come back, and now you're looking and it's Jordan Seaton. Great. That's not going to likely happen because somebody's always going to be willing to pay more for somebody like that. Or it's somebody else it's Josh Simmons, which would be great, except he's not out there. And it's somebody like that who, if people remember, Josh Simmons was a redshirt freshman right tackle at San Diego State that Ohio State moved to left tackle. And it started slowly, but then worked out very, very well. And boy, Tom, how did the left tackle addition work last year for Ohio State and the Ethan Oniano thing? So this is as sure a thing as you can find in the portal.
Right. You know what you're getting with Austin Siereveld, and you know he can play at the Big Ten level. There's not projection like there was with Oniano where it's like, well, he was pretty good at Rice, and, does pretty good at Rice scale up to good at the Big Ten level, okay at the Big Ten level, passable at the Big Ten level, or not passable at the Big Ten level? And it felt like the answer was sort of pretty low on that scale wherever it ended up grading out because he didn't play much last season. And so now, Josh Simmons is an interesting story because Josh Simmons, he came in, played left tackle, was a huge difference maker for Ohio State. We went into the 2024 season. We did a show on, who is the one player Ohio State can't afford to lose, Ohio State can least afford to lose this year. Is it Travion Henderson? Is it Will Howard? Is it, Caleb Downs? And we landed on Josh Simmons because it was like, boy, if they lose Josh Simmons, how are they going to figure this out? And the way they figured it out was they tried Zen Mahalski and that didn't work. And then they looked at Donovan Jackson, who was playing guard for them at that point, and went, well, how about it, champ? And he stepped in and played phenomenally and was a crucial piece of that, that whole line. That's what it feels like Austin Siereveld could be this year. If Austin Siereveld goes in and plays, if he's starting right guard, for example, on day one of this season, and then your left tackle goes out with an injury, he can step in and play there. If your right tackle goes out with an injury, he can step in and play there. And you're not trying to just sort of piece it together or just kind of cross your fingers and hope. He can do this already. So even if he's your starting right guard, he potentially is the solution for a couple, but what could be catastrophic injuries if you have them at either of those tackle positions. So that's some real insurance. He's either a solution and he's either the answer at tackle, or he's some very, very valuable insurance at tackle. And, you've seen what things can look like. Go back to the 2023 Cotton Bowl when Ohio State had an injury on the offensive line and things went pear-shaped pretty quickly. Having someone who could be an answer there is huge. And then, you have these other guys. You mentioned Josh Padilla very briefly there. Josh Padilla, Gabe Van Sickle, those are guys who are going to be another year better. Padilla missed some time with a healthy spring and summer. He could very well win a starting job. Van Sickle going from his redshirt freshman year to a redshirt sophomore year. That's a big jump from an offensive lineman. You have, now you're talking about 5, 6, 7 guys who could be very, very, easily well equipped to be playing at the Big Ten level, which that is a luxury that most teams just don't have.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back to a conversation. I think it was with Austin Siereveld this past year, talking about all of his the positions that he played. And if I recall, I asked him, how long would it take you? Could you play center? It's like, yeah, I could play center. And I was like, how long? And I think he said, about a day. Just give me a day and I'll be ready for it. And that's the kind of confidence that you like in your offensive lineman or really any player that you happen to have on your team.
Yeah, and I'm not sure the centers would appreciate that. Appreciate that. But I mean, here's the other thing with centers. Like, you've got Carson Hinsman who can do it. Josh Padilla has been repping as a number 2 center, so you would assume he could be perfectly capable of stepping in there. So you probably don't need that. But as your third center, yeah, I mean, sure, we've seen that before. Carson Hinsman got sort of thrown in there at one point as a center. So he went from guard to center at one point when they I don't even remember where in the 2024 offensive line shuffle that happened, but that was in sort of a mid-season. That was after Seth McLaughlin went down. So yeah, you can get thrown in any number of different places, but yeah, having that positional flexibility makes a huge difference in terms of how some of these seasons turn out.
And Luke Montgomery has that as well. He can play any of the 5 positions that you need. And when you've got a couple of guys like that, it makes you deeper, it makes you better, and it makes you able to withstand the entire season. So there you go. Austin Siereveld back for the Buckeyes. Good news all around there. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. We'd appreciate that. 5-star rating and reviews, always appreciated as well. You can continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Stop on by, say hello to us there at the Buckeye Huddle message board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. We'd love to see you there. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.